We're back from the JobTread Connect Conference here in Dallas, technically Addison, Addison,
right.
Texas.
Dallas is so huge.
Dallas is so huge.
Right.
It is. But we're back here for the conference, and I found my old buddy Paul Sanneman,
Right.
who's actually we're a client of yours.
Yes.
And you're also a partner of ours.
Right.
We met last year.
Right. And so I think he said, "Don't put Paul next to me because he'll sell me again."
I know. I did say that.
You did say that. You did.
Put him on the other side of the room. And
I already bought. I don't need to talk to you anymore.
Yeah,
right?
after 3 days last year, I said, Paul, okay, I'm going to buy.
All right, we're good. Just stop selling. Right. It's true.
He's a closer. Paul's a closer.
ABC, always be closing.
Always be closing, yeah. All right, Paul, what do you do? How do you help builders?
Okay, so short story, I've been a coach for a long time. Scary. 40 years I've been a coach. Like this great. I work with 2,000 companies, and what happened was about 6 years ago, I could build companies from 2 to like 15 million. I was really good at that, but they couldn't find employees. So my third thought, well, I just found out this cool software and I give it to them. I did that and they totally screwed up. I went, okay, fine. I put a guy in my garage and said, okay, what I want you to do is help find employees for my clients. That was this mission. Fast forward, I think 5 or 6 years. We now have 35 people on the team. We've hired 3,000 people. We run 500 job ads a day. We screen 6,000 to 7,000 resumes a week. We've gone through 500,000 people to find the 3,000 people we've hired. We're basically every in the market in the US and Canada. We have like 35 people on the team. So it's growing a little bit.
Yeah, and well, I can attest to how many inquiries, or I should say applications, just for our business when we're hiring, we have to go through just to find one person.
It averages 200 to 300.
Yeah, and I'd say I'd probably have more than that. I'm very picky.
Right, I see that. I think
so we probably have more than that. But you have a process, and again, there's nothing more frustrating. You go out and you say, okay, I need to hire somebody. And then you go out and you say, oh, this is a great guy or gal. You hire them, and then 6 months later they quit, you let them go, whatever, and now you're back to square one. You're like, what did I do wrong? Right. And so talk a little bit about the process.
Well, the process is when you get 4 people on your team, you get an account manager who makes the clients all this stuff, the applicants do all this stuff. They have an assistant, you get a pipeline scanner. We tried using AI to scan pipelines. It's just not there yet. We're hoping someday. And then you get a specialist that meets with you every week. It's like a fractional HR department, right? So you get all these people, you get all the software, we do all the work for you, and it's like $1,500 a month. It's like cheap. And so everybody, if you're a contractor, you should have a line item for recruiting. It's like what you need to do, because there's nothing more important than building your team. Yeah, and yet most contractors, they'll buy a tractor, they'll buy software,
trucks,
they'll buy marketing, trucks, I go, what's your recruiting budget? I don't need a recruiting budget. I go, that's the most important part of your company.
Yeah. Okay, so personal testimony, I would want to make a big move with our company a year ago. Had all these plans, but I honestly had never thought about staffing. And then I meet you and you're like, you know what, you should always be recruiting, always be closing, always be recruiting. And it's so true, is because what I have found is that somebody might look great on paper, you hire them, you go through 90 days, that's what we do for a probationary period. And then something happens. Somebody gets sick, or somebody moves or decides they don't like what they're doing, or maybe they just aren't working out what you thought they were. So now, if that happens to me, I can go back and I can look in all of the other candidates that I have. They're like, hey, they were right on the list too. And like, as an example, literally today, my leadership team just got done interviewing a guy that I met back in April through your system a year ago. And we said we need to hire another account manager, someone for customer support. I went back to look at my candidates. Lo and behold, I found this diamond in the rough. I reached out to him and said, I know it's been a long time. Are you still interested? He's like, yeah, I am. He's like, I lost my job in November of last year. He's been doing temporary work to get through. He's like, I'm interested. We interviewed him twice now. Assessment is off the charts. Great interviews. He's got the background that we like. Not perfect, but somebody we're highly interested in. And now I can potentially hire this guy tomorrow. Because we're always recruiting. And so we're always looking for the best people. So what I have found from a personal testimony is that even if you don't need the position right now, to always be recruiting, keeping that short list of candidates that you would consider. And then when you need it,
Well, you know, if you're a contractor listening to this, you are creating your own labor shortage. It's not it's because most contractors, you know, they need somebody, they put an ad Indeed, they go through it, and then they maybe find a guy. It's a terrible system. Whereas if you're recruiting all the time, you never know when the guy's going to go, I don't like my job, I don't like the commute, whatever. And if you're not out there, you're not going to find him.
Right, that's true.
And so it's really important to always be recruiting. Don't try to do it yourselves. You guys suck at it. No offense, but you're really bad.
It's timing.
So
Everything's
it's timing. I mean, we're going to hire 4 people on your team, all the software, all the assessments, all in for $15 a month. Ain't going to happen.
Yeah, it's not. You know, recruiters typically charge what, 10%?
I had one guy said, I hired 2 salesmen at $16,000 each. You've hired me 15 people for $16,000 all in. You're right.
It is. I've heard that from a lot of people too, is that your pricing is very reasonable and you get great results. And I can attest to that firsthand. It's a machine. I mean, the resumes come in, they go through the vetting process, assessments go out, we then critique the assessments, then we look at the resumes again, is it a match? So by the time I actually am going to interview somebody, video interview, I forgot about that. By the time I'm going to interview somebody, I'm already looking at maybe the top 1 or 0.5% of all the applications.
And what's interesting is we get back to people in real time. So the minute they hit apply, we respond within 10 to 20 seconds. I talked to the other day, he goes, well, I put this ad in, I got 50 people to apply. I can't call them for a couple weeks. I said, you should have called them 10 seconds after they applied.
Because if it's a great candidate, they're obviously they're going to be looking at a lot of different jobs. They'll find a lot of different jobs. Like, yeah, you got to be the first one out of the gate.
And also, you look way better if you respond quickly. You have a professional team.
Yep.
You want to. I mean, everybody that you hire should already have another job for sure.
Yeah, right.
You got to convince them to leave their job and come to work for you.
Yeah.
And most people aren't really good at that. So if you have a labor shortage, it is your fault.
Yeah.
We've hired 3,000 people from someplace. 94% of them worked out.
Right.
So just admit you suck at recruiting and just get somebody like us to do it.
And I also want to clarify, we're not just talking about hiring office staff. You hire laborers, you hire carpenters, you're hiring project managers, people that are out in the field that everyone says, oh, it's so hard to find good people. You guys are finding them.
I mean, I met a guy at his conference last week. He said, well, you hired me 20 roofers in the last month and a half. I hired one guy, 156 framers in 3 months. And literally nobody spoke English.
Yeah.
Everything was in Spanish. Everything was Spanish. In fact, of our 35 people, 30 speak Spanish. I'm not one of them.
Yeah, you got a lot of bilingual when it comes to laborers. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. So Paul, Contractor Staffing Source.
Right.
If someone's interested in talking to you about helping them with their recruiting needs, what should they do?
Well, they go to Contractor Staffing Source and put appointment with Paul. That's me. I'm still doing the sales. You get to talk to me. So go to there, press the appointment with me. I'll schedule a 30-minute. I'll go how we do it, whatever. I mean, if you're having any recruiting issues, it's certainly a good use of a half hour of your time.
Yeah. And we have clients right now, Builder Lead Converter clients that are using Paul, have placed people in the field, carpenters, laborers, that sort of thing, and they're continuing to use him. So he's getting good people. So Contractor Staffing Source. Thanks so much, Paul.
Thank you for your support. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.